Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a text that has absolutely fundamentally shifted global consciousness. Honestly, it's not just a memoir, it's a literal manual for living. It beautifully bridges the gap between ancient Eastern spirituality and our chaotic, fast-paced modern world. So let's dive right into this practical exploration of Paramahansa Yogananda's life and teachings. We're going to see exactly how his profound insights can be applied directly to our everyday modern challenges. The stress, the endless distractions, and that deep underlying search for purpose. I mean, the sheer cultural weight of this book is just massive. That quote right there is from the legendary Indian classical musician Ravi Shankar. But the influence of this book goes way beyond musicians. Did you know it was actually given out at the memorial service for Apple founder Steve Jobs? It profoundly impacted cultural icons like George Harrison. It's been translated into over 50 languages, and it's continuously inspiring millions of truth seekers today. So why the massive appeal? Well, because it offers something that our highly externalized material world is desperately craving, a true internal compass. Let's kick things off with Section 1, the book that changed everything. To really understand its impact, we have to look back at its origins. Picture this. It's 1920, and Paramahansa Yogananda arrives in America carrying a revolutionary mission from his teacher, Swami Sri Yukteswar. The idea was that it was time to teach mankind the value of balancing the material world with a rich inner spiritual life. At that time, the West had absolutely mastered the external world, achieving incredible material success, but was totally starving for inner peace. Meanwhile, the East held this ancient spiritual science that could provide that exact inner balance. So Yogananda's life work was essentially to become the bridge between these two worlds. Moving right along to Section 2, Transforming the Modern Brain. See, Yogananda wasn't just teaching some abstract philosophy. He was teaching a literal science of the mind that anticipated modern scientific discoveries by decades. And the absolutely crucial starting point here is understanding this ancient term, prana. It translates to subtle energy or life force. Yogananda taught that this specific energy is what keeps us alive, healthy, and magnetic. Think about our overwhelming modern world where we constantly feel so drained by screens and stress and anxiety. Learning to control this life force energy, that is the absolute key to thriving. To control your energy is to literally gain control over your material circumstances. And how do we do that? Well, Yogananda taught that meditation is definitely not some archaic ritual meant for people hiding away in remote caves. It is a highly practical, everyday tool. Decades before modern scientists started talking about neuroplasticity as a proven fact, Yogananda was out there explicitly stating that meditation actually changes and rejuvenates the very cells of our brain. It literally rewires us for greater mental clarity and power. You're actively transforming your biology through focus. How incredible is that? This brings us perfectly to Section 3, Willpower to Magnetize Success. So how exactly do we use this newly transformed mind? We usually think of success as something we have to frantically chase down out in the world, right? But Yogananda taught the exact opposite, that internal stillness directly creates external results. It's a three-step process. First, you withdraw your outwardly directed prana. You actively pull your attention away from the endless noise and distractions of the world. Second, you laser focus that energy inwardly at the spiritual eye. By stilling the mind and concentrating your energy, you massively strengthen your willpower. And third, this heightened, focused energy magnetically attracts success, improved health, and solutions to your problems. You completely stop just reacting to life. Instead, you start drawing exactly what you need from universal sources. Let's shift gears a bit for Section 4, the role of a guru. Now, I'll be honest, navigating this whole inner landscape is not easy. And it's a very fair, totally logical question to ask. Why do we even need a spiritual guide at all? If all this immense power is already inside us, why can't we just figure it out ourselves? Well, the answer lies in the highly tricky nature of our own minds. We actually need someone to help us navigate the incredibly complex and honestly often deceiving maze of our own ego. Think about it like this. A great athlete once asked an elite coach why he should even bother listening to him. The coach's answer was profound in its simplicity. He just said, because you don't know what you don't know. And what's true in athletics is even truer when it comes to freeing ourselves from our own mental delusions. A true guru is really simply someone who is already free, someone who can spot our blind spots from a mile away and actively guide us out of the limitations we can't even see that we have. But, and this is a really vital distinction to make, the Hindu yoga tradition is remarkably anarchic and non-institutional. It values your individual, direct experience way above any rigid rules or dogma. Disciples are treated as unique individuals. Ultimately, the teaching itself is far more important than the personality of the guru. It's a tradition completely based on freedom, not blind loyalty, and the whole aim is to give you the practical tools to experience the truth directly for yourself. All right, let's look at Section 5, Finding Peace in Daily Life. Let's bring all these high-level spiritual concepts right down to earth. Because honestly, how does this actually help us tackle the stress of a typical Tuesday? Well, the trick to breaking out of our constant stress loop is to fundamentally change how we react to the world. We have to learn to just accept life as it unfolds. You've got to control those reactive processes. Stop letting every tiny little inconvenience trigger a massive emotional meltdown. Try to stay even-minded and cheerful no matter what external chaos is going on around you. And here is perhaps the most revolutionary idea of all. Recognize that the true altar isn't out there in some church building. It's literally right inside your own central nervous system. True spirituality is happening right inside your body, right in the middle of your everyday worldly activities.
And finally, Section 6, Awakening Your True Self.
This leads us right to the ultimate goal of all these practices, tools, and mindset shifts. To actually achieve this awakening, Yogananda championed a very specific, ancient method called Kriya Yoga. It had been hidden away for centuries, but was revived in 1861, and Yogananda brought it to the West. He described it as the absolute fastest route to self-realization. It is essentially the practical, scientific engine that drives this entire spiritual philosophy forward. So, what exactly is self-realization? This profound mindset shift is the very core of Autobiography of a Yogi. Yogananda defined it beautifully by saying that you are already in possession of the kingdom of God. You literally don't have to pray for it to come to you. God's omnipresence is your omnipresence. All you need to do is improve your knowing. You aren't trying to become something new. You are simply using meditation to strip away all those layers of delusion that hide who you already are. We've covered some truly incredible ground in this explainer today. From managing your daily life force energy, to actively altering your brain cells with meditation, to completely shifting your perspective on what creates true success and inner peace. But as we know, knowledge is only power if it's actually applied. So I have a question for you. Which of these yogic principles are you going to use to conquer your modern stress and awaken your true self today? The ancient tools are right there, the modern science backs them up, and the choice is entirely yours. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I highly encourage you to take just one of these principles today and go test it out in the laboratory of your own life.